Good afternoon, you are welcome. Today's lesson is about passive voice, the second part. So let's try to see the sentence structure rule. First of all, when we have the active voice, we have subject. Here we have auxiliary plus verb, which means we have two elements. Last time, concerning the first part, we have just one element. But concerning the second part, we have two elements here, auxiliary, verb. And then we have complement. This is first one, concerning the active. Now we move to the passive. We are going to begin with complement. Then we are going to put the first auxiliary. We are going to put it after the complement. And here we pay attention to what we call singular plural between complement and auxiliary. Try to see the agreement concerning singular and plural. Then you see the tense of the verb. You give it to the auxiliary. Then that verb, it becomes past participle. Then you add by plus agent. Agent is related to the subject in the active voice. It changes the name. So this is the rule that we are going to see with the coming tenses. So examples for illustration. We begin with the present continuous or progressive. So the sentence is, they are inviting some guests to the opening of the new theater. We begin with the complement, which is some guests. We put the verb, we put the auxiliary are, and we try to see the agreement concerning singular and plural form. So some guests plural, so are plural. Inviting, it is the verb plus ing form. We give it to the verb to be plus ing form. Then inviting, it becomes past participle, invited. Therefore, the sentence is, some guests are being invited to the opening of the new theater. So what is here written concerning the active and the passive, this is the form that you have at the beginning, is plus are plus verb ing form. This is what we have concerning the active, the first sentence. When we have the transformation, we should have is or are. Is or are, either of the two. Plus being, we have it, plus past participle. This is what we call the summary. This is the final form that you should have. We move to number 2, past continuous or progressive. In the active you have was or were plus verb ing form, was offering. When we transform this sentence into the passive, then we begin with the complement, which is new jobs. Then we put the auxiliary was, it becomes were. You know why? Because new jobs is plural, therefore we should not use was because was singular. We use or we put were. Offering, it is verb plus ing form. We give it to be plus ing form. It becomes being. And offering, it turns into a past participle, offered by the company last month. So all the time check the summary written above, active and passive. We move to number 3. Simple future. Will plus infinitive verb. This is the active. The passive, it becomes will plus be plus past participle. Let's check the sentences that we have. Los Angeles will host the 2028 Olympic Games. We begin with the complement, the 2028 Olympic Games. We put the auxiliary will. Host, it is just infinitive. We give this to the verb to be. And host, it becomes past participle. So the same rule that I have put above, you follow it and you will not find any problem. The only condition that you must be aware of is to learn by heart verbs. Near future. So near future here, concerning the active, the form is be, and when I say be, it means am, is, are, plus going to, never change, going to, plus infinitive verb. When we pacify the verb, then be, you are going to put it the same, either am or is or are. It depends on the singular or plural. Then you put going to, it does not change, plus be, because infinitive verb that we have in the active, we give it to the passive be, and that verb becomes past participle. Let's try to see together the examples, the 2 examples that we have. The authorities are going to open the city a health center next week. We begin with the complement, the city health center. Then we are going to put are, and the are here does not work with singular, city health center, so it becomes is. Going to does not change, we put it. Open in the infinitive, we give it to the verb to be infinitive. Then open becomes past participle. That's why we have the city health center is going to be opened next week. Present perfect. Active, always you have or has, plus past participle. Here you conjugate like you conjugate the verb to have. In the passive, have or has, then you bring been, because you work with the past participle. Concerning the active, you give it to the verb to be. The past participle of the verb to be is been. Then you add the past participle concerning the main verb that you have. Okay, so let's see the example. Coca-Cola has sponsored this program. So we begin with this program. We put has. Why? So here has, it matches well with this program. Both of them singular. Sponsored as a past participle, we give it to the verb to be, been. Then sponsored, it remains as it is. It is already as past participle. We give it to, we do not change it, because any verb that ends with ed, it does not change. The past perfect. Active, you always have had, plus past participle. When we transform it, it becomes had plus been plus past participle. The first sentence, the judge had sentenced many criminals before his retirement. So the complement, many criminals, we put had, no change here. Then sentence as a past participle, we give it to the verb to be, been. Then sentence, it becomes sentence, no change, by the judge before his retirement. So my advice to you, try to respect the rule given to you and read carefully such examples in front of you and be sure you will not have any problem. Now let's move to the last element related to subject pronouns and object pronouns. So when you want to use by at the end of the sentence, which means the doer of the action, agent. So when you have I, it becomes me. You, it remains you. He, him. She, her. It, it. We, us. You, they, them. To remind you, such subject and object pronouns, they are not obligatory. If you don't use them, no problem. But if you want to use them, you are going to use by plus the second part related to object pronouns. So thank you so much for your watching. See you in another video.